I was sleeping another night. Feeling pretty decent, despite all the dead people laying around. Get a little hungry. But I was getting eager to get off this planet. About 12 days left, according to the readout. That generator. A bunch of snow had fallen everywhere, thanks to that ship. But I wasn't too concerned with it. I was wandering around, not a whole lot to do. Just waiting to leave here or die. Sit down once in a while, chill out, just wander, keep the place clean. Stayed a lot cleaner now that them dogs are gone. That hauling robot was no more. Just wasn't a lot happening. I was contemplating all the horror that had happened here. Somebody contacted me with an item stash. Certainly wasn't anything I needed. So again, I just wandered about, had myself a meal once in a while. It was snowing gently, so I was sitting down to play some chess. Not for long though, I was so antsy. Waiting to see what would happen. Some cargo pods fell. Some kind of weird little cheap meals. I didn't need any more food, so I was just gonna let them lay. Felt like it might be a trap. Someone trying to lure me out of here. I was off to bed at 2 in the afternoon, and a bunch of tribes people showed up with the intention of killing me and taking my ship. I wasn't too worried about these jerks, but it was something to do, I suppose. All the boredom lately has been killing a guy. So I grabbed my rifle, ran on out, and sure enough, they came at me full bore. I started shooting at them. Didn't really have much luck. Shot one girl. A couple fellas came, bashed up my door, tried to. And a bunch of them came in, stepped on my traps. And that was the end of that. They decided to bugger off. Lost about half their number. One of them injured. One of them had gone down and not died. I was going to have to rebuild these traps before somebody else showed up. I was going to try and stay focused on that. Turns out a second one was still alive as well. Thought about stuffing them into one of them extra crypto sleep caskets, but decided they didn't deserve it. What would they have done to me if they'd have gotten a hold of me? Them and all their pals. So I built a few traps. Decided to head off to bed. Let them people suffer. It was still snowing. Not too hard though. It cleared up sometime around midnight, I suppose. I got up, it was 3 a.m. I had myself a meal. Got back to the business of rebuilding these traps. Just working around dead people's a little disturbing. But it's all I can do here. Try and get some of them hauled. Put somewhere where I can't see them all the time. There was some ambrosia laying around. I was debating on bringing that in. Seemed like it might be a good distraction. But there were plenty of bodies to haul at the minute. So that's what I did. I got them all hauled out. There was some junky dead people clothes laying around. A bunch of weapons as well. Decided I better keep myself inside, lest something bad happened to me. It was pretty stinking cold. Well below zero. I sat down, had myself a fruit drink. Decided to chill out for a bit after finally having some work to do. I was back to wandering around, not doing a whole lot of anything. I went and grabbed that ambrosia, set it inside. That'd cheer me up. One of my guns had broken down about that time. So I got some new components for it, put them in there. Had myself a meal. A ship chunk fell nearby. That too felt like a trap, so I was just gonna let it lay. Plus I didn't want to see all them frozen dead people. I was walking by the ship, a whole bunch of tribals showed up, 3 different groups, 3 different locations. Seemed like some of them are gonna try and break up my walls. So I decided I'd better get out there, give some of them the business anyway. And they came charging up, as they do. I was hiding behind the wall, had my gun in hand, shot one of them a few times. Wasn't sure what they were gonna do, but I kept shooting, got 2 of them injured pretty well. I was worried about the ones coming from behind me, so I decided to run on inside. Some of them decided to just steal what they could and take off. There was a bunch of dead bear, other dead animals, so that's what they took. There's some weapons laying around as well. Nothing I cared for though. Some of them decided to stay, see if they could get through my wall. That was mildly problematic, so I headed over with a gun, started shooting them up. They were coming for me. I didn't want to get caught. Wasn't sure a knife was going to do much to this armor, but I didn't want to find out. And it didn't take long. We were running through the corpse pile. Pretty disgusting. They were completely ignoring me for whatever reason. Hell bent on getting themselves killed on some of my traps. One of them was darn near bored right into my base. The bunker had been penetrated, man. So I ran on over. Shot her dead. She left a weapon in there. I was gonna have to get her moved. So that was the next plan. I picked up her weapon, got it moved. I picked up her body, got her put down too. Solar flare started about that time, so I was gonna go lay in bed, see if I could stay warm. This armor did a pretty good job at keeping a guy nice and toasty. I was gonna have to rebuild some walls, so I decided to take some of my wake up, get to the business of making wall instead of making traps. I was gonna carry a bunch of blocks outside, see if I could just get a little stash going out there. So I picked up a bunch, ran on out. Man, there are dead people everywhere. I'm sure it's only gonna get worse too. So when I got outside, I dropped my blocks, started rebuilding my wall, planned the second part as well, and I got that all done. Decided I was gonna go on inside and have a meal. There's only one trap, seemingly. No, scratch that. Some to the south as well. 4 traps that need a rebuilding. Wouldn't take too long. They'd left weapons everywhere. A little bit of psych IT. I had to be careful not to develop an addiction though. A lot of work for one guy to do around here. I was repairing walls. Got the traps rebuilt. Time to drag all these dead people out. Maybe make a warning. Other schmucks that want to show up, get some business. Decided I'd haul some of their items out of the way, make my life a little easier when I was cleaning, picking up weapons, clothing, and all that jazz. So I got everything tidied up. Still a few random items. Most of the blood is cleaned up though. I sat down to play some chess, feeling a little bit crabby. Just due to all the dead people I'd been around. Decided to hit the hay. It's about 9 o'clock, felt like a good time. And then when I woke up, I was wandering around. Went outside for a minute before I realized maybe I better stay inside. Unless something bad happens, someone dropped down on top of my ship, who knows what would happen. The solar flare had ended. I was eating a meal and decided to toss some horseshoes for a couple minutes. Didn't seem to hold the same joy considering my high anxiety level. Pretty much just wandered around, waiting for something to happen, thinking about all the horrible people here, how life here is so much crazier than on Earth. Transport pod came down about that time. Older lady. She was pretty hostile though. Debated rescuing her. I could toss her right in a crypto sleep casket, bring her with me. But if she wants to be hostile, she can lay in the snow and freeze to death for all I care. It was really coming down now. One of my wires had a short circuit, started one of my guns on fire. I had to go repair that. And as I was wandering around, a bunch more tribes people decided to show up. There's 11 of them this time. Seemed like they were going to try and tunnel through my walls as well, based on the path they were heading. So I decided to get on out, see if I could intercept. Sure enough, some of them came around. One of them had a big mask on, but I shot him right through it, dropped him dead. I was plugging them full of holes. They didn't stop to shoot me. They were hell-bent on getting on into my traps. There sure were a lot of them coming in. I decided to make way, get back to my little hiding spot. But it was all for naught. Enough of them had died on those traps. I ran on out, started shooting, caught one of them in the head again, plugging them full of holes as they ran away. They should have been army crawling, man. They might have made it. Standing out there like good targets in a nice, clear, snowy field. Bunch of morons. After that, there was more work to do, but for the minute, it seemed like it was time to hit the hay. Trudging through the snow was pretty slow work. I was feeling pretty good. Thankfully, I'd brought that ambrosia. Keep my mind at ease a bit. Thankfully, someone had left that ambrosia that done got themselves killed, I should say. I got up. It was about 1 a.m. There were traps that needed building, bodies and junk that needed hauling. So that was going to be the next focus. See if I could get these guys moved before I had to rebuild the traps they're going to lay on. They had all kinds of junk. Weapons, bows. The heck are people with bows going to do with a spaceship anyway, man? Tell you what. So I picked them all up. Tossed them all out in the snow. Somebody else is welcome to them, as long as they don't want to kill me. I had myself some pemmican, ran on out and rebuilt my trap, and then I was off to bed. I had 6.9 more days left of this, according to that ship readout. I was rebuilding traps again. I was a little worried about my steel. I'd gone through a lot, and continued to do so. My guns hadn't fired a single shot yet, so I felt confident in their abilities. Wasn't going to have to put any more time into them, hopefully. Decided I better stay inside. Did some cleaning, all this blood and nastiness. And then I had myself a fruit drink, just because it keeps the guy's mood up. About 10 o'clock, I was off to bed. Feeling miserable about all the dead people I'd seen once again. I guess it's unavoidable for the time being. I got up, had myself a little ambrosia, and was back to wandering around. Someone hit me up with an item stash. Some type of drug. I ignored it. And I was playing horseshoes. Bunch more tribes people showed up. Word got out amongst the tribes apparently. It was about negative 40 degrees according to the readout in my fancy suit. And these morons came running up. No reason not to just shoot them up. Decided I better not get caught out, so I ran on inside. Let's go hit my hiding spot. See if they actually make it inside. They weren't happy about all the guns they were seeing, or all the dead people. Sure enough, traps did their job once again. There was 3 of them down and injured, but not dead. I was gonna see if I could bring a few more down. And with that, back to the business. Cleaning up dead people and their belongings. Dealing with these injured jerks. One of them had left me some smoke leaf joints. That was gonna be useful. Feeling happier already just thinking about it. As I was rebuilding traps, looking at the people that hadn't yet died. As I was smoking a joint, a bunch more tribes people showed up. Tell you what, when it rains it pours. I hadn't even got my traps rebuilt since I was lollygagging, smoking a doobie. But I was feeling good from the ambrosia. So on they came. And the first one that got close I tried shooting, but I was feeling a little off. Between a little bit of that joint I'd smoked and that ambrosia. I fired and fired. Didn't have much luck. One of them decided to rush me with a spear. But I dropped her. And a bunch of them had come around. Decided to start shooting me up. Wasn't sure where to aim first. There was so many of them. So I just shot the closest ones. They were coming down my trap hallway. It occurred to me there aren't any traps in there. But turns out they had still gone down. I ran back out, see if I could kill a few more. Some of them stopped at the end of my hallway and started shooting at me. One of them was coming at me with a knife. Big greasy beard. Decided I better run. My guns are finally going to get a workout. So one of them finally made it inside. Didn't last more than a second or two before down she went. Doesn't seem like the brightest play to me, but what do I know about anything, man? They've been bashing up my bunker. I caught one guy as he was running away. Said I better stay focused over here. Not be running around smoking joints. And I was going to have some walls to rebuild as well. Probably some repairs to do. For the minute I was starving though, so I had myself some pemmican. Decided that wall was going to be priority. I can't have somebody showing up right inside the bunker. They end up by the guns. Well, that's good. They end up in my sitting room. Well, that's bad. So I planned a few extra pieces of wall. Got those worked on right away. And then it was going to be building traps. After having a nice little meal. Chilling out for a couple minutes anyway. Once again, I decided to smoke a joint too. I guess there's no reason to try and do this not stoned. I was hauling their junk in when a bunch of oranges fell out of the sky. They're pretty far away, and I'm still wary of traps. After getting a bunch of their weapons put down out in the snow, I was off to bed. Got up at 4 a.m., ate a sweet meal, got to the business of rebuilding traps. Decided I better haul bodies next. There's so many of them laying around. It was disgusting, full of holes, frozen blood. -34 doesn't do anything nice to a dead human, I can tell you that. My steel supplies continued to dwindle. My guns were right on guard though. So I got all the traps rebuilt. There was still a ton of blood everywhere. But for the minute, wasn't a lot I was going to do about that, since I was starving. So I had myself a meal, did some repairs on the walls those buttholes I got a hold of. My door had gotten bashed up, my sandbags were damaged. A lot of my walls were damaged around my trap hallways. even some around my generator. After that, decided I was going to try and burn some of these bodies. So I grabbed my Molotovs. I was headed on out. Start chucking them at the dead bodies. Lo and behold, a bunch of people showed up to try and siege me. So with that, I had to drop these Molotovs. These guys weren't going to be anywhere close. I didn't have a mortar to fire at them. So I grabbed my gun. Took a little bit of wake up, so I was bright and cheery. Don't want to be sluggish for this. Decided I better run on out. See about giving these schmucks the business. They're working pretty stinking fast. Building sandbags and mortars. Hopefully that wolf decides to attack them. I finally made my way over there. They were lobbing shells. They shot a few straight away. Looked like they were trying to aim for my guns. I was going to aim for the guy who was shooting that thing. Once I shot him a few times, he went down. Those morons all decided to assault the bunker. And that's going to be alright with me. Some of them started shooting at me. I wasn't moving the fastest through all this snow with all this gear on. In fact, I was moving pretty slow, but I was also rather well armored. I got hit a few times, but the armor deflected it all. As I made my slow crawl back. I was debating on whether I was going to have to run out here and get some of this steel. I ran back. They split into a few groups, giving chase. I was making my way inside. Debated on sitting on outside and shooting them up, but they were too close. So they came on in, charged my traps, got themselves killed, and I decided I wasn't going to screw around. I was just going to go ahead, get everything rebuilt, not try and run out and shoot the stragglers. A few of them had survived. Looked like 3 again. I had myself a meal. Was feeling pretty hungry. Got to the business of rebuilding traps. Decided maybe hauling some bodies would be in order. Getting some of these junky guns they dropped carried out of here. There was all manner of people down. Pyros, staggeringly ugly people, and you name it. No wonder they're over here trying to get off the planet. I'm a good-looking fella, I have a hard enough time. My steel supplies were shot by then, so I decided with all these junky weapons they were leaving me, I could probably do some smelting. As long as I don't smelt up my assault rifle, I'll be in good shape. There's a bunch of slag laying around as well. So that was for the best. I thought about how that job should go. So I was rebuilding traps. They had a ton of stuff they'd left me. Mortars I could deconstruct. Shells. Meals. Sandbags. Weapon. Dead fella. Think that wolf's probably out there having a feast on him. I was laying in bed just chilling out. Another bunch of schmucks showed up. Decided they were going to siege me as well. No rest for the weary, man. And I didn't have enough steel left to build even a single trap. I jumped up, took a little more wake up. Hoping I didn't hit addiction level on this stuff. Bad as opiates, man. So I grabbed my gun, ran on out. About that time, another bunch of tribes people showed up as well, deciding they were going to try and kill me. I had to see if I could stop these bungholes from shooting these mortars. One of them was building sandbags. I was trying to shoot her up, not having any luck though. keeping an eye. People coming from behind me with their spears and bows. I shot one girl up pretty good. She didn't go down though, but she was turning that snow red. She did eventually fall. That did not make everybody else decide they wanted to attack me. I was debating on whether I should keep shooting. Maybe I could kill one more, or whether I should run on inside. I was gonna need some steel, that was for sure. They all had pretty good cover on me, being behind sandbags. I was right out in the open, but my armor was pretty fantastic. So I shot a bit. I caught a few of them too. I think they were catching each other in the friendly fire. Their mortars were getting built. I was getting nervous. Wasn't much for it though. I had to run on inside just as those tribals came around the corner. Tribals end up dying on the traps, and they buggered off. The mortars were shooting right at me. People doing the siege pretty much killed the rest of those tribals. I decided to run on out, see if I could kill any of them. Them sieging jerks. Brought one down. There was a whole lot of shots coming my way. Pretty nervous, pretty eventful. Some of them were pinging off my armor. This is why I saved this armor for just this moment though. Running through the snow, bullets flying everywhere, man. Remind me of being back in Chicago during the big shootout day we had with the police. Except this time I had some legitimate armor on. They were still shooting mortars. Their aim was a little bit off. I kept hitting my inside walls, which is just fine. I had a bruise on my leg. I was feeling pretty sore. One of them caught me just right. Bolt action rifle. Did a little bit of damage, despite the armor. I wasn't worried about it though. Looked like they were starting to swarm me. Decided maybe I'd better bugger off. I was hoping eventually they'd run out of shells to shoot at me. My traps were all down. On one side anyway, thanks to that tribal incursion. Decided maybe stop and shoot a little more. In the heat of the moment, I was mad, screaming a battle cry. Caught one fella right in the head, gave a shout. Several of them were wounded, some of them walking around with grenades. Perhaps I shouldn't have done all them drugs, man. I was high on wake up. Smoke leaf. Feel like that's the only thing that was keeping me sane though. Trying to take my mind off this stuff. So they charged. Enough of them went down while they were coming at me. The rest of them decided just to run away. And that was the end of that siege. I had traps to rebuild. I was gonna have to do some smelting. Get some steel back together. That's what I worked on. I was in a little bit of pain due to this bruise, but I got myself tended up. I was feeling alright. Despite everything. The suit had its own musculature or something, man. I dragged a bunch of weapons in, right by my smelter. Decided to get to the business, smelting those down after having myself a little meal. Hauling some bodies around, make it nice and clean. I got off to bed after that. 2.6 days left. I'd seen a whole lot of corpses. Someone hit me up, asking for safety. There was too many people chasing after him though. Couldn't help him out. I built a nice snowman with the head falling off right in my big kill box as a warning to people. And then I decided to smelt. That's what I focused on. See how much steel I could reclaim. Maybe it'd be enough. Rebuild some traps. Sat down. Decided to play some chess. Chill out for a little bit. Was also gonna have to do some cleaning. The place was a mess. Still bodies to haul. Traps to build. There are guns laying all about. only issue was, in order to go get them, I had to walk by all these dead jerks. Decided maybe I'd burn up some of them bodies. So I grabbed my Molotovs, started chucking them right into the corpse piles. And they did light on fire pretty damn quick. Even threw some at all the old dead animals that were laying about. There were enough dead people here, that's for sure. So I just kept on chucking Molotovs. It was cold as it gets. It started snowing a little bit. I was worried that was going to put out my fire. But I was going to give it a go anyways, getting rid of all these dead bodies. Maybe I'll build a roof over them, try again. Said I was going to let the fires burn. I'll grab one more gun before going inside. Sure enough, snow put out most of my fires. Some of the bodies are burnt up. Not all of them though. I smoked myself a joint. Grab my Molotovs again and see if I could get this dealt with. And there were bodies burning all over the place. It's quite the horror show. Fortunately, didn't leave a lot when they were gone. Just some ashes, a little bit of bone fragments. The snow was fighting against me, putting out my fires. I decided to get off to bed. It was about 4 in the afternoon. I was still stoned on smoke leaf. Some mad caribou showed up about that time. I was sleeping. Didn't have my gun equipped even. Bunch of tribals showed up. Of course, I don't know what it is with the tribes, man. They sure do want some business with me. 11 more of them. Caribou took out one of my traps. I jumped up. Decided to have myself a meal. See if the guns could take care of this situation. And I ran on out to my little hiding spot. These morons started flooding in. The guns started cutting loose. It was a bloodbath, man. Turns out all these guns do their job. And enough people went down. Survivors tried bashing up my door, which is not good since I didn't have a lot of steel around to rebuild them. I couldn't have people just getting in that easy. But they destroyed it. And off they went. Decided I was going to let them run. I had higher priorities here. I was thinking about some of the weapons laying around, some of the steel I could claim. Seemed like better just deal with the ones that were nearby rather than run all around, picking stuff up from other places. Certainly didn't need any meals. These jerks had left. Even the steel was too far away. Something bad happened while I was over there. I might never make it back. And the ship is getting close to launch time. I decided to get back to the job. Smelting steel. Getting some people hauled out of here. Maybe I could do another round of burning these schmucks. So, I hauled bodies, including that caribou. There was a couple live people, just crying, asking for help. Bunch of Arctic wolves migrated through about that time. But they didn't seem to want any trouble, for once. So they went, and I didn't get involved with them. My gun is broken down. One of them anyway. Said I'd better get that fixed. I only had about 22 hours left before my ship reactor was ready. I was counting the seconds, man. Had myself a meal. Decided to smoke myself a joint. Lay down in bed. Time is close enough. Bunch of pirates came about that time. Dropped down right inside the bunker. Wasn't much I could do to avoid that other than put some guns inside. They were all over me, man, before I could really do anything about it. Decided to run on out where the guns were. The ones inside started bashing up stuff in there. The ones outside were getting shot up pretty good by the guns. One of them was shooting me point blank, bolt action rifle. Decided to show him what an assault rifle will do. He missed. His buddy came running through. My guns are going nuts. Killed a bunch of them. They decided to bugger off. I decided to get out of the way so my guns don't shoot me up. One of them was on fire. I didn't want it to explode, so I ran on over to put it out. It was still doing its job despite being on fire, and I managed not to get myself shot. One of my chairs was on fire back inside, so I ran on in the bunker, see about getting that put out, and I had some success with that as well. There was all kinds of chaos going on. I had plenty of stuff to smelt now, that's for sure. I was thinking about hauling bodies out of here. No sense in it though. Probably find a closer spot. No need to run outside. I was only gonna be here hopefully a couple more hours. 16, according to the ship, announcing its remaining time every once in a while. One of my power conduits blew up about that time, but fortunately I'd built everything out of steel. It happened twice in a row. Heater started on fire. Turns out it was snowing right on my heater. That's bad business apparently. So I rebuilt the roof. All around were these buttholes. Come through the roof. Did a bunch of cleaning as well. Things were a mess. Rather unsightly if you ask me. There were 13 hours left and a bunch of tribes people showed up once again. Right by all the dead idiots. Tried to siege me. Only 9 this time. I wasn't sure how to handle it. Decided there's only one way really, since I got no traps left that they're gonna step on. I ran on out, hid in my little shooting position. They flooded in through the door that was still destroyed that I couldn't rebuild. And the guns did their job. Decided I was gonna let them lay. There was 11 hours left before I could get off this rock. Dead people everywhere, blood, detritus, dirt, filth, weapons. What a horror show, man. I can't wait to be off this planet. Had myself a meal, despite the disgusting mess everywhere. There was still some roof that needed rebuilding. Decided to focus on cleaning up inside. I could rebuild traps now with some of my steel. And they had dropped a bunch of guns all over the place. In the end, I decided to hit the hay. There was 8 hours left. Unless somebody dropped down on my head again. I figured I'd be just fine. My gear's getting pretty worn out, so it's a good thing I saved it just this moment. And I slept. When I woke up, I was doing some smelting. 3 hours left, according to that ship readout. After smelting a few guns, decided I was wasting my time. I ran on over, got in one of the empty crypto sleep caskets. That was that. I waited, and the ship decided to take itself off once the time arrived. And I was gone. Asleep. Up the ship went. Right off the planet. I dreamed. I swear I had moments. Maybe minutes, hours, months, years, who knows. When I was awake. At least conscious in my sleep. And my ship was gone. Free from this hellhole. I wonder if I'll ever make it back to Earth. That's my dream, and that's all I think about. Somewhere off in space, eventually making it home. If I program that AI right, who knows how many generations it'd pass, who knows what Earth would look like when I got there. But I think eventually, I'll make it home. thanks for watching, guys. That was my first playthrough with a single pawn. And, got a little close at the end there, but otherwise it went just fine, I'd say. Let's take a look at the history before we call it. 6 people launched into space. Well, here, Randy Random Savage. This must be when our ship took off. No, I don't know. Just leveled out like months ago. I couldn't quite figure out what happened there. I didn't want to talk about it though. Oh, look at this. There's still stuff going on here. I think eventually a colonist will come join you if you just sit here. But anyways, think about buying me a coffee if you enjoyed that. There's a link in the description. And I don't know, maybe leave some comments whether you'd like to see another one like this, or whether it was just a meh situation. I see I got a fair amount of dislikes on these videos. I think they're just not what people are expecting. So, whatever. Let me know. Likes appreciated. Comments, feedback, definitely appreciated. And buying me a coffee, most appreciated of all. See you guys next time. Waiting for the song. So what was I here to go?